Everyone, and welcome back to Foot Forecast, and today's going to be discussing the Liverpool-Sunderland game where they have dropped points at home. So straight away I'm going to start with the team selection for Liverpool, and look, Liverpool went with a very similar lineup for this game. We made one change. Milos Kerkez went out and Andy Robertson came in. I was happy with this. I wanted to see a similar lineup because I thought that was the first performance in a while where we actually looked good away at West Ham. We weren't brilliant, but we were good enough to justify the same or a similar lineup, and we actually won a game of football. So I was happy to see the same lineup go out once again. Were we good today? Absolutely not. I think that is very much fair to say. Look, if we got the results today, which we may have had chances to at the end, I would have been happy, but I sort of criticised this performance because it's nowhere near where we need to be, and there are still a lot of questions surrounding Arne Slot and how he's actually setting up Liverpool today. Because straight away, look, the lineup was fine, but the amount of crosses we are putting in aimlessly in that first and second half was ridiculous. Why are we putting in so many crosses into the box when Sunderland have got the likes of Dan Ballard, Alderente, Roos, all players that are actually very good. Dan Ballard and Alderente, very good at hitting the ball away. So is Mukiele. You've got Robin Roos, who's brilliant clearly at catching the ball at the end. We just played, I think, into their strengths over and over again, and that's something that we need to stop doing. Why are we doing this? Why are we just aimlessly putting crosses into the box? We need to be more patient today. Play the ball through the middle of the park. The midfield of Florian Wirtz, McAllister and Ryan Gravenberch. That is where the ball should be being played through, in the middle of the park. Those three players are absolute quality at sort of manoeuvring, breaking down sides, and we just didn't do that at all. I felt everything was going out wide once again. I thought this even increased when Mo Salah came on and at half time. I think then we had an even more of a reason why we had to go out wide for some reason. And I think Slot has got it wrong today in terms of why we're putting so many crosses into where actually Sunderland want us to put the ball into. Sunderland were happy to let us go out wide. So then why are we doing this? Why are we not trying to go through the middle? That's where Sunderland were more worried about. I know they had lots of players in the middle of the park, Sunderland, but there are different ways to go about it. And Slot needs to look back at that and say, what could I have done differently in this game? Because I think he got it wrong today, and I think that's where some of the problems started. In the first 20 minutes, Liverpool were really poor. I didn't think Sunderland were that good. It was two sides there. I think we're getting a reasonable amount of respect. I think Sunderland sort of wanting to get through that first 10 minutes away at Liverpool and making sure that they don't go sort of 1-0 down. I think for Liverpool, it's a matter of we can't concede the first 15. We can't concede first, which we did actually eventually do. And it was also the fact that Sunderland have been a really good side so far this season, and they were always going to cause us troubles, and it was going to be a difficult game for us to win. I thought as the game moved on, we looked like slightly better side maybe going into half-time. They did actually have some chances though in that first half. Trey Hume struck a shot, but it was, I guess, parried by Alisson. It was actually pretty poor keeping from Alisson. He really should be doing better with that, and it came off the crossbar. And I think the biggest chance of that first half though was for Alex McAllister for Liverpool. It was a good ball in by Joe Gomez, who, once again, I thought it was just a solid fullback performance from him. And then into the second half, and I think we're like, okay, come on, let's put some pressure on, let's go on and get this first goal. But it was Sunderland that managed to do this, and I do need to go back to this point of, I just feel like we're just not in, there's no belief right now that Liverpool are actually going to score against this sort of side today. I know eventually to come, and it was an equaliser, but it's because, for me, the fact that it's just, okay, let's put an aimless cross into the box, and let's hope it works out. It wasn't also helped by the fact that our delivery into the box was also poor throughout. I thought Sober's line needs to be better than what he was showing today. He was much better in other performances, and more importantly, his crosses were really poor from that right hand side. Gakpo also had a really poor game in that first half when he was on the pitch with his crossing as well. So as well as our actual strategy of crossing into the box, not really, I think, the right thing to do, our actual execution was also poor, and this was never sort of working for Liverpool. And what I wanted to see us was sort of get onto the front foot, get a bit more attacking, and look, we may have conceded. We did actually eventually concede it away through Talby. It was a deflected strike from Talby, which ended up wrong-footing Alisson. I mean, Alisson had no chance of saving that shot. There are some questions around Van Dijk. It is the sort of Van Dijk defending once again, where he sort of just looks to block the shot and doesn't get out to the man and basically stop it with a better block. And look, it is unfortunate for Van Dijk, but this has started to happen a bit too often. I think that is fair to say. It's quite hard, though, to argue with Virgil van Dijk's methods because it's worked so well for so long. But he is just recently, it's just not quite working. I think he may have to be a bit more aggressive in the tackle and actually get out to the man more. And then Liverpool after this, I think it sort of woke us up to an extent, and we started putting on some pressure, and the goal was actually really good play. It's good ball from Curtis Jones into Wirtz, and then a brilliant piece of dribbling from Wirtz, and then the ball was deflected in the back of the net once again. So 2 deflected goals was the goals in this game. Despite the goal not counting for Florian Wirtz, the dribbling to get himself into that position was absolutely brilliant, and he deserves that moment despite it being an own goal, as I was saying, because he's been good in games where he hasn't been rewarded. For example, West Ham and Real Madrid, he's been very good, and he was unlucky not to score. After this goal goes in, you're thinking all we need is sort of a Klopp last 15 minutes where we just go all out attack, but we just couldn't find that goal to get us the winner. And Sunderland deserve massive credit for this game. I thought they deserved their points. I thought a draw was a fair result. I think that in some ways they're probably unlucky to not get more from this game. They were better than us at points in this game. We were probably better at points, but at no point were we going, oh, we're really threatening here. Sunderland under massive pressure until probably the last sort of 10 minutes, and that was because of that sort of all-out attack approach. Apart from that, Liverpool never really threatened Sunderland. Sunderland were absolutely brilliant defensively and offered threats on the counter-attack, and they still did in that last sort of 15 minutes of the game with that chance for Isdor. It's a brilliant piece of play actually by Roofs to notice the fact that Isdor is free. Isdor looks like he's through on goal. He goes around Alisson, but it is brilliant work from Federico Chiesa, saving Liverpool in that moment and ensuring that we do get a point from this game. And look, Liverpool pressured the last 15 minutes. There were definitely chances. Now, what I want to discuss is around why do we keep trying the same sort of method? That method of sending Virgil van Dijk up for the sort of last 15 minutes. The reason I don't understand this is because Liverpool are a side that look like they're built to be building the ball along the ground. That's all the signings that we've signed this summer. That's all the players we have. They're really technical. They're not players that thrive on sort of that aerial drills, these aerial battles. We've seen this all season. It's almost like we've gone, okay, well, if this is working for you, we're going to try that against you. It's almost like Liverpool have gone, if this is working for you, we're going to try do the exact same thing against you. But it doesn't work because we don't have the players to do this. We're trying to turn a weakness almost into a strength, but it's just never going to work. And I just can't understand this. I think we're way better just sort of trying to move the ball around, trying to break down Sunderland. And I think we could have. I think we could have done this because the momentum was with us, the cop was behind us, and Liverpool could have easily found a way to break that side down at the end. Sunderland weren't in a position where they were threatening us on the counter. They were very much staying in their low block. That was for me the time to start moving the ball along the ground with pace, and I actually think that we were starting to get some reward for doing this, and I just couldn't understand why Virgil van Dijk continues to stay up front, and it almost did actually cost us because that was part of the reason why there was that chance on the counter for Isdor, because all the centre halves were up at the end. But overall, what's so frustrating is how slowly I think we are moving the ball from side to side, and it's just ineffective. You just can't get behind it, and you're struggling to be inspired by this Liverpool side right now. And I have just seen a comment from Reggie Labrie, the Sunderland manager, basically saying he was surprised how much time Liverpool were giving Sunderland on the ball, and I have to agree with this. I just don't understand why we give sides so much time. When we look at our best, when we've looked at our best in the past, especially at home, as we press high, we cause team issues, and we actually make the opposition make mistakes. Because right now we're struggling to break down sides. It's very clear. So what you can do is force errors. You look at the Villa game, Martinez. That was a Martinez error. Error for this game is also a mistake from Sunderland. It's the only way we're really scoring. So why are we not pressing high? Why are we not putting sides under pressure? Why do we not have this intensity from the start? And it feels like a simple fix. You need to get your sides playing with higher energy. Stop conserving energy or sort of playing a long game or whatever the plan is with this. Liverpool look at their best as a side when we press high, and that we may concede chances at the other end, but we can see chances either way. So we might as well at least be effective up the pitch and actually cause sides more issues by pressing high, because that is what everyone wants to see from Liverpool. To have sort of one criticism out of Reggie Labrie's side that have done so well to actually get a point away at Liverpool, it is the fact that I think in those last 15 minutes, as I was saying, they were very much in their low block. I think they could have come out a bit more. They could have maybe tried to counter-attack a bit more effectively, and I actually think they would have created more chances. Liverpool have been very susceptible in those last 5 minutes, and they almost did score through his door. I think they could have had another go. I think there were more opportunities to have a good bit more of a go on a counter-attack. But overall, can you really criticise the Sunderland side? They have gone away to Liverpool and it got a point. It doesn't matter how bad of a side Liverpool are, how good of a side Sunderland are, that's still a very good result for Sunderland. Then we're on to the Liverpool player ratings. Starting off with Alisson, and I'm just going to give him a 6. I thought he had a decent game and goal. Then on to Joe Gomez, and I'm going to give him another 6. I thought he was solid. Just a complete fullback performance from Joe Gomez. Still what you get with Joe Gomez. He's never going to sort of give you those sort of 9 or 10s out of 10s. It's very rare, but he's always a very solid player and dependable. Then on to Ibu Kanate, I'm going to give him a 6. I thought he handled Robbie pretty well, apart from that one moment where it was a poor header and it went behind him, and then Robbie should have been through on goal, but it was a poor touch. So for that reason, he would get a 6. If he actually didn't make the mistake, he probably would have been a higher rating. Virgil van Dijk, I'm going to give him a 5. For me, he needs to do better on the Talby goal. We need to get out to him more. I know that's how Van Dijk defends, but I still think he could have done a bit more than sort of just basically waiting for the ball to hit him. Then into left back, Andy Robertson, I'm going to give Robertson a 6, just a solid performance. Ryan Gravenberch, I'm going to give him a 5. I think he could have been better throughout this game. To Alexis McAllister, I thought he was slightly better than Gravenberch today. I'm going to give him a 6. Dominic Szoboszlai, I thought this was one of Szoboszlai's worst performances so far this season. I am going to give him a 5. A bit harsh potentially, but he just wasn't where he needed to be today. And I just thought his crossing at points was really poor, and it sort of let us down. I thought the tactic of crossing the ball continuously was not correct, considering the Sunderland sort of height there at the back, their ability in the air, like with likes of Ballard and Alderete. I also thought his execution wasn't very good today. Then we've got Florian Wirtz, and I'm going to give Florian Wirtz a 7. He would have got a lower rating, that's for sure, if he didn't. Florian Wirtz, I'm going to give him a 7. Look, this is very much down to the fact that he basically got us back into the game. Look, it was a deflected shot, which will be given as an own goal, but his dribbling was absolutely brilliant, and he gave us that moment. Cody Gakpo, I'm going to give Gakpo a 4. I thought he was poor throughout this game. I thought he was ineffective, and this is a problem with Gakpo. In some games he looks alright, in some periods of games he looks alright, but in other periods, in other games, he's absolutely nowhere near where he needs to be, and I think that was probably one of those games today. Isak pretty much did nothing, but he also didn't have a lot of service. I'm going to give him 5. Salah, I'm going to give Salah 5. I thought he was better than Gakpo, but he was still sort of ineffective throughout. And I'm still not convinced the system quite works with Isak, Salah and Wirtz on the pitch. Curtis Jones, I'm going to give Jones a 7. I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch today. Hugo Ekitike, I thought he was threatening at times. I thought he was better in those moments than... Then we've got Hugo Ekitike, I'm going to give him a 6. I thought he was more threatening than Isak when he came on the pitch. Not brilliant, but just a decent performance for the minutes he got. Federico Chiesa, and I wouldn't usually do a player rating for a player that played 10 minutes, but I actually am going to give him a 7, because without Federico Chiesa, Liverpool will probably lose this game, and that's worth a decent player rating for that moment of clearing the ball away off the line, as Isdor looked like he was definitely going to score for Sunderland. Arne Slot, I'm going to give Arne Slot a 4 today. I thought he got it wrong with the amount of crosses, which was clearly seemed to be a tactic that we were putting into the box today. Just basically putting it into that Sunderland defence, which just love anything like that. Ballard, Alderete, they're brilliant at the end. I just thought he got that wrong today. I also just can't understand why Virgil van Dijk keeps going up front when it's clearly not working for Liverpool right now. One positive for Arne Slot is that he didn't do the same substitution that continues to not work, which is basically playing Ryan Gravenberch as a centre-half and then bring on another attacker. He didn't do that today. He tried different stuff, so that's some positives for Slot. It didn't exactly work, but at least he's trying different stuff. He's accepted that that's not the way forward, at least. I'm going to look at some top performers for Sunderland today. Robin Roos, I thought he was good today. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he was solid in goal. I thought the whole defence actually was good for Sunderland. I thought Alderete was especially good, and Ronaldo, I'm going to give them both 7s. I thought Ballard was decent as well. I'm going to give Ballard a 6.5, and Mukiele was decent. I'm going to give him a 6. And just looking at some more significant performances, Granit Xhaka, I just think, even if he doesn't have his best performance, which I thought he was good good today, not his best performance. He still is so vital to everything Sunderland do because of that sort of leadership, and I think that's sort of the sort of valuable ratings that you just can't sort of actually quantify. Then looking at some of the other performance, obviously Talby getting the goal for Sunderland. I think someone that would be a bit disappointed is Isdor, the fact that he didn't make that chance count. I know it was good work from Chiesa, but could have Isdor done better with that? I think he could have. And I thought Robbie could have been more effective at points. I thought he did a decent job holding the ball up, but I think he could have just maybe added a bit more. I think the one time he got past Canate, it was a poor touch, and that could have been 1-0 Sunderland earlier in the game. For Reggie Labrie, I'm going to give him an 8. The fact he got a point away at Liverpool is really impressive. I thought he set them up perfectly for this game and basically made Liverpool across the ball into the box. Liverpool decided that was the only way that where they could probably score past Sunderland, and this played basically into Sunderland's hands. So you're going to give a massive credit to Reggie Labrie. That is the end of the review of this game. Let me know your thoughts on this game. And if you enjoyed this, it would be great if you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as liking the video.